Hey everyone, just wanted to do a quick thing that I've been meaning to do more of, so apologies there hasn't been more of these, but yeah, just essentially wanted to have a quick look at sort of a lighting breakdown. Yeah, I'm using the new beta of Blender 3.0, which yeah, seems to be quite stable. It's working really well. So this is in Cycles X, loading a little bit faster. Yeah, I just thought I'd take a look at this little scene from a while ago and yeah, have a quick look at the lighting. Essentially, I think I used this physical atmosphere plugin to do this originally, which is amazing and I recommend it. It kind of generates your HDRIs for you as you go, so all the reflections and everything work correctly, which is excellent. Saves a lot of time, but yeah, it is one of the more expensive plugins. So yeah, I would recommend it, but at the same time, I thought we should have a look at how you can do it without using a plugin. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of. So yeah, essentially, I would recommend doing the lighting portion of this at a sort of earlier point in the process. Then after you finished your model, I think do it as you go along, so you can kind of see where you need to add to your model and where you don't because of shadows and that kind of thing. This is a daytime scene, so I would ordinarily, the first thing I would do is insert a sun lamp, which comes in pointing, I believe, straight down. So it doesn't look particularly appealing. And the other thing as well is it's dimmed quite a lot, so I normally just set that to 10. That looks more like actual sunlight to me. That's unobstructed. So this is the same angle, light pointing perfectly down, middle of the day. The other thing to remember about the sun lamp is its actual positioning makes no difference because the behavior of the light means it has no fall off like the other lights. So it doesn't matter where you put it, so you kind of put it somewhere you can see it. What does make a difference is the rotation, so the direction of the light. As I spin these, or if I rotate it, you can see that's making a big difference. One of the first things that I would tend to avoid if I was lighting a scene would be this sort of scenario. Completely backlit, all shadows gone, light pointing directly at the model. It might feel logical that that will be the first thing you do so you can see it and you can see all of it, but shadows are wicked. Love shadows. It means that you can hide things and it breaks up the scene and looks more pleasing to the eye. So I tend to find ways I can point my lights back towards camera. The good thing about doing scenes with dunes like this is that you get some really weird and interesting shadows. So you get kind of a real big difference between like the highlights and the shadows. If you want to know more about that stuff, go and look at Ansel Adams' photography. Like he kind of pioneered that kind of analysis between the highlights and the shadows and everything in between. And instantly this looks more interesting to me. Like sure, we lose some detail here on the left, but this feels a lot more realistic. And lower sun, sunset sun, I think is more interesting anyway. But yeah, we can start having a play with that and getting a feel of like, oh, where do we enjoy the shadows? You'll notice here that as I go across, I have a really big black shadow, and that's because I've put this thing here, which I sometimes use in scenarios like this to try and create more shadow, like in places where it shouldn't necessarily be. But if we go to here, we can start having a play with like size of that, and that will start affecting kind of where those shadows are and that kind of thing. Sometimes worth doing, if you want that feeling of like, oh, there's maybe a building to the left or something like that. I don't think I ended up using it in the end, but yeah, that's something that I do use occasionally. So yeah, if we go back to our sunlight, rotate that a little bit. Another thing worth noting as well, that as the sun goes down, it often gets warmer in color temperature. It kind of gets more orange, so that's definitely something I would have a play with. You can go really far with it if you want it to be a little bit crazy, but I tend to just keep it around there. And again, as the angle gets closer to sort of 90 degrees, yeah, you can sort of start warming that up a little bit more. It just depends how magical you want it to feel. Just something to have a play with. It will make a big difference to your scene in terms of the general color. Probably something that you'll edit a little bit later on anyway, if you're into Photoshop or something like that. But I don't think this is a million miles away from where we were when we were using a physical atmosphere. If we do want to fill in these shadows a little bit more, that's just a case of coming over to our world preferences and turning up the surface color on the background. So we can either do that by in the brightness like that. You see, like, these shadows are filling in a little bit more, or we can up it like that. But yeah, it's just something that's worth sort of playing with, really. What I tend to do though after this anyway at this point is make the background transparent, so that I can, in Photoshop or Procreate, I can just put in a sky in the background, which yeah, just means you got a lot more latitude. You can find sky images all over the place. I just bought a pack from photobash.com. They're wicked. I use them all the time. Or you can just, render it out here. But yeah, I think that's essentially like what I'm looking to do. What I would probably do again in Photoshop is just start sort of taking out some of the contrast from these further points of the model, or even the whole of this bit, just to make it feel like there's some atmosphere in between us and the model. You can actually do that automatically in physical atmosphere. You've got this section here, is toggle material fog, and that will see it's just taken out that contrast there, just to make it feel like it's a little bit further away. And then you can turn up distance as well if you want things to feel like they're really far away. Yeah, just something worth playing with. But yeah, little quick breakdown there. Hope that's useful. I know I've covered a lot of that stuff in other videos before, but hopefully this is just a little bit more condensed. Any other questions regarding this stuff, fire away. The reason that I tend to do a lot of outdoor stuff is because it's easier to render. Like, I know a load of you guys are doing like really cool, moody sort of like nighttime scenes and stuff, which is great, but in cycles it's just really tough render wise. Maybe when I've got a newer computer, that would be different. But yeah, I really enjoy doing these kind of big outdoor scenes where the render times aren't crazy because the light isn't having to bounce around too much. So yeah, hope that's helpful. If anyone would like the blend file, hit me up. I can fire it across. I don't think it'd be useful to everyone, so yeah, if you do want it, let me know, and if enough people ask for it, I can load it somewhere. But yeah, hope that's been good. Hope everyone's well. Happy Halloween. And yeah, hopefully I'll speak to you all soon.